friends, how's it going? Mr. Atomic Buster, and today I'm going to be discussing my personal least two favorite weapons for Scout and Team Fortress 2. There are three different categories, which I'm sure you all know. Scatter guns, which is primary, secondary, like pistol, and melee. Alright, so first off we have primary. For primary, for the first, I will have the Babyface's Blaster. The reason for this is, yeah, sure, it makes you really fast once the boost meter is up, but I hate how you can't really jump without going really slow since it resets the boost meter. Plus, the Babyface Blaster does less damage. The pellets don't really scatter that much. Sure, it makes it easier to do more damage from long range, but then you can't really do damage as the pellets spread out to several enemies that are close to you. So, that's why I think the Babyface's Blaster is in last place. Alright, next would be the Soda Popper. The reason for this is it has a painfully small clip size like the Force of Nature does. It doesn't do any random crits, and it doesn't have that knockback like the Force of Nature does, and it does less damage than the Force of Nature, because the Force of Nature does more damage. But the good side of this is having a hype meter that allows you to do many crits whenever it's full with any weapon, which isn't that useful unless you know what you're doing. Plus, like I said, it has a painfully small clip size, so it's hard to get some good shots. And the faster reload time, that is pretty decent. But another downside is that if you reload with only one bullet in there, you lose two in your ammo pool. Alright. So next up we have the Force of Nature. I was just talking about this about its small clip size, but even though it has the same clip size and reloads slower than the Soda Popper, it fires at the same speed. But what's good about it is that it does a knockback, so you can do it to reach heights that you never could, especially if you have the Force of Nature and the Atomizer combined. And it does more damage. Well, actually, it has more pellets, which do 10% less damage, which is a very big difference. So that means more damage, really. So yeah, the Force of Nature is still pretty bad because of its because of the same thing with the clip size. The knockback, because you could just knock back and then you have to keep chasing them forward as you keep knocking them back. And it does that thing that the Soda Popper does with the 2 ammo being lost if you reload with 1 bullet. Alright, and second place for the scatterguns is the shortstop. The shortstop I actually used for quite a while, but I was trying it out. It was pretty good. It actually is the only scattergun that does a decent amount of damage from longer range. But the big downside is that it draws from the same ammo pool as your secondary weapon if you're using the pistol, the winger, or the pretty boy's pocket pistol. I was about to say Babyface's Blaster. But what else is good about this is that it does a clip-based reload, and it doesn't do that thing like the Force of Nature and the Soda Popper do with the drawing ammo for, you know what I mean. Anyway, and it has a clip size of 4, which is twice the size of that of the Force of Nature and Soda Popper. Sure, and it has about the same reload time as the Force of Nature. I haven't tested that out yet, but this shortstop is, yeah, pretty decent. And in first place, the stock scattergun. It's really good. If you're really close to an enemy and you have deadly good accuracy, you can take out heavy like that. If you heard that, I think I accidentally whacked my microphone. I meant to do a snap like that. Okay. Uh, so yeah, this default scattergun. It has a normal clip size, like the Babyface's blaster did. Same reload time, same firing speed, but this allows you to go at normal speed, and you don't have a boost meter. Plus, doesn't do that more accuracy thing, which is a little worse if you're doing more at long range, which you could be using a pistol for, because those are morely meant for doing damage at long range. So, the default scattergun, yeah, I'd say is the best. Next, we're moving to pistols. Secondary. Okay, so starting off at the worst one, we are doing the winger. The winger, it doesn't have. It's just horrible. It's horrible. The only good side to it is that it does 15% more damage, which isn't a very big difference because the stock pistol damage range, according to the TF2 wiki, does 15, while Winger does 17. It has a clip size of 5. That's really painful. Not, especially since, you know, it's like, unless you have deadly accuracy like you would with the scattergun, but only at long range too, then this would be good. If you had good accuracy at long range, then you'd be good with this winger. But I am not as good with it at long range. So yeah, I personally do not like the winger. Next up, we have the Bonk Atomic Punch. The reason, even though you're immune to all damage and you could use it to get away, is you can't really attack while you're moving. Plus, you could be using something else like the Mad Milk and the pistol. But what else is good about this is you can get sneak to the back control point if you're playing something like Dust Bowl, which is my favorite map. Unless you're good enough to fight off people who come chase you back there, which I'm usually not good at. But yeah. So, if you're sneaky, you can use this to get to about cap point, if there's 2 cap points in whatever game mode you're playing. Next up, we have the Criticola. You take many crits, which isn't very good, especially since Scout has only 125 health and he can be killed by almost anything. But the good side is that you can do mini crits, so you can do it if you want to take down large crowds, and you move 25% faster while you're under the effect. It's like the Bonk Atomic Punch, it goes in your secondary slot and it's something you drink. It's the same regen time, same effect lasting time, and same drinking speed time. So, Critical comes after the Atomic Punch in my personal list. In second place, we have not second place, excuse me, next we have the Flying Guillotine. The Flying Guillotine, if you're using the Sandman and Flying Guillotine make a very good combo. Especially if you have good accuracy. Again, it takes some practice to get some hits with this thing when you use the Sandman too. Take some accuracy. Take some practice and accuracy. I occasionally get some really good shots with this thing. So, it's nice how you can do, it's a guaranteed crit against stunned players. That's why it's a perfect combo with the Sandman, because if this player's stunned, it's a guaranteed crit. Another good thing is that if it's a long distance hit, but the target is not stunned, it's a mini crit. And it causes the target to bleed, and it has a really fast recharge time of 6 seconds. That's quite fast. The only downside to this is that, it does no random crits. So yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Next up, we have the Mad Milk. The Mad Milk, pretty good. You can use it to spy check. It has the same real recharge time as the critical and mock atomic punch. But what you could do is you can throw it at people. Like I said, you can use it to spy check. You can use it to see through cloaks on an enemy spy. Also, you and you can use it to put out teammates that are on fire. And the last useful thing about this is that you can share the 60% health restored from damage you do with your teammates. So it's basically a health generator for you and your teammates. So yeah, Bad Milk is pretty good. Next up, we have the stock pistol. The stock pistol, I think, is pretty decent. I I love the stock pistol. It's really good. It's good for picking off enemies at a long range. It's very good. The other weapon that's like this that I'm soon gonna probably get is the Lugermorth, which you get from Pokemon 90 inventory, which I'm gonna purchase soon. So yeah, stock pistol slash Lugermorph is really good for picking off enemies at long range. And finally, in first place, the Pretty Boys Pocket Pistol. The reason I picked this as my first place is you have 15 more health on where you never take fall damage. You have a slower firing speed, which is a downside, and 50% fire damage vulnerability on wearer. Those two downsides aren't that bad to me. So if you're good at dodging, you won't get caught and you won't be on fire from a pyro. The 25% slower firing speed isn't that big of a deal, as long as you keep shooting. The never taking fall damage, that is excellent. Especially if you're using something like the Atomizer and the Force of Nature to get off like a very far height or whatever. And if your jump fails, you won't take any fall damage. That's really good. Even especially, and you have 140 health. That is why I personally picked the Pretty Boys Pocket Pistol as my first place. Alright, and finally, this video's been going on for 12 minutes. We make that 13. Whew. Let's talk about the third category, melee weapons. Okay. First off, in last place, we have the Rap Assassin. The Rap Assassin, 70% less damage, and all it does is fires a ball, an ornament that causes bleeding. It only causes bleeding and it has a fast regen time, but less damage and a bleeding ornament. That's not really that good. It's like a downgrade. It's like a downgrade to the Sandman or whatever. Yeah. So yeah, Rap Assassin is the worst. Next up is the Sun on a Stick. The Sun on a Stick, it's not really that useful because even if it's guaranteed crit against burning players, it still does a minus 25% damage penalty. So even a crit doesn't do as much as a crit on the default bat. So yeah, Sun on a Stick comes in second to last. Yeah. Next up, I choose the Fan of War. I use the Fan of War for one specific thing only, and that is Man vs. Machine. Because it is very useful in Man vs. Machine, but not in default gameplay. In default gameplay, it's kind of like a suicide mission to go get a mark for death on a big target, especially since the scout can be killed almost instantly unless he is very good at dodging. and or the big target has bad accuracy or slow reaction time. So yeah, Phantom War, really good in man vs. machine. That's what I'd make it number one in. But here, not really, because it does 90% less damage. That's very little. If you wanted to try, if you're trying to kill someone with this thing, you're an idiot. That's all. Okay. Next is the Boston Basher slash the 3-rune blade. It causes bleed to an enemy for 5 seconds, which isn't that useful since it only lasts for 5 seconds. Yet a burn lasts for much longer as a pyro, even with the default flamethrower. And if you miss, if you just hit the air, you hurt yourself and you bleed for 5 seconds. Though I do like how on the weapon in itself thing, it says on miss, hit yourself, idiot. That's actually funny. Okay, next we have the Atomizer. It grants a third jump, which is pretty useful if you don't keep pushing the spacebar, because each time you do a third jump, it does 10 damage to you. So if you're not careful, you're gonna kill yourself. It does less damage and it fires slower, so it's not really a bat meant for battling. But it still does more damage than the Sun on a Stick, the Rough Assassin, and the Phantom War. I'll give it that. But it has a slower firing speed than those three, yes. But it still is better, in my opinion. The third jump, yeah. So, not really meant for melee combat, but good for getting to very high places, especially if you use the combo of the Force of Nature with it, like I mentioned earlier. Next up, we have the candy cane. The candy cane raises your explosive vulnerability by 25%, which isn't very good. It does the same amount of damage and same everything else as the default bat, but what's good about it is regardless of what weapon you kill someone with, they will drop a small health pack. But the enemy can pick this up. Anyone can pick up this health pack that is dropped. I gave this thing a chance. I didn't really like it. Especially if you're using the combo with the candy cane and the Pretty Boy's pocket pistol. Because then you have two different vulnerabilities. Yes, okay. And next up is the Sandman. The Sandman, it lowers your health by 15, so you have 110, which is not a super big loss, since Scout can be killed by almost anything, and it launches a ball, which, if you have good accuracy, is really good. Plus, I forgot to mention, the Sandman and the Atomizer are the two only melee weapons that can do the taunt kill, which is a really good taunt kill because it's silent up until you get the hit. Once you get that hit, it's cool because everybody in the server hears a cheer. And the hit sound. It's pretty cool. And it's actually funny to see how far the target goes in air. They go like all the way across the map. And finally, in first place, the stock bat. The stock bat, it's pretty good because it's just the bat. You can, if you're close enough and the enemy is kind of distracted, you can get a quick kill with this thing. I use it a lot. It's the same as things like the frying pan, the conscientious objector, the freedom staff, the bat out of hell, the memory maker, the ham shank, the holy mackerel, the unarmed combat, the sexy. Except for the sexy turns all of the enemies you kill into Australia. The Holy Mackerel and the Unarmed Combat broadcast your hits, which is kind of funny. So yeah, that is my personal list for my favorite weapons for Scout. And yeah, that's all. Thanks for watching.